Yeah, getting in trouble. Yeah, you know, getting caught with. Like I got like 4 gun cases and shit like that, but it was just off for the sake of I'm just trying to protect my own well-being. But then another thing too, you know, when I was we was fucking with I was fucking with my boy DJ Sidekick, so I'm hanging with it was a lot. He used to have a lot of dudes for 40s and 60s in their studio. So I'm just sitting there with them dudes watching how they get down, and then I'm seeing how they fucking with Nipsey and shit like that. Then they got this nigga back like a month. They full support of him. They all from the same hood. So I'm like, well, let me take that shit to my hood and see if I could get that same type of. But all that in my section, it's just all that shit don't do nothing but develop hatred and envy. Niggas are hanging around you just to see what they could get out of you. I'm taking niggas to meet niggas that they Dub C and all that sort of type of shit. I turned this bum ass nigga into my manager. I'm like, okay, you an older nigga from the hood, and I'm watching how Dub C and all these other type of dudes getting down, and they look like they got older G's that's doing something productive in the shit. So I'm like, well, let me bring you in over here. So I'm trying to do the same thing I'm watching how the 60s doing with Nipsey from being around these niggas. I'm like, let me bring that same mentality to my hood. And all that I got out of my situation was niggas with hidden motives and secret agendas and backbiting and hating behind the scene. You know what I mean? Oh, you must think you something. I don't think I'm somebody. Nigga, I'm bringing you here to show you can. Let's make some. Niggas just haters, bro. Or they could just hang around to see what they can use you for when they don't need you no more. They nigga, fuck you, type shit. So.
Okay, so I think Nipsey's a good example because even though he was from the hood, he stayed out of jail for the most part. He never.
And I'm watching. He had niggas from his hood, but they a bigger gang than where I was from too. Yeah. So they probably got the snake niggas there too. But for the most part, I'm hanging around the niggas that's fucking with him. You know what I mean? Them niggas, they like nigga. They was like, you know what I mean? They was fucking with that. They was in support of that. I mean, I watched the nigga beat a nigga in the head with a brick in the backyard. He went from that to we had. The fucking show, then they, you know, we'll be like 10 of us, right? And then they'll all walk in and Nip would be in the car somewhere with somebody. And then when it's time for him to perform, somebody would come out the club and go get him. Then he'd get on stage and do his thing, collect this money, and then they'll all bounce. You see what I'm saying? But then he had like a good, from what I seen, he had like a good support system. Yeah. Even though he probably should put you, he had some haters too. But see, my hood's smarter than them. It's probably like 10, 15 of us over there. So my whole support system was all haters, man. Shit.
So the guy from your hood, the OG dude that was sort of the co-founder, he was your manager too for a while?
I gave him that position because I seen he wasn't doing shit. He'd get into it with his wife, and he was the type of nigga got married to a bitch. His wife would kick him out the house, so then he'd come back to the hood and be sitting on his grandmama porch, you know, that old type of shit like that. I'm like, man, ain't you tired of going through this shit? So I just seen from going to shows how a lot of people that had management representation, their managers was looking like how the big homie was looking, supposedly big homie. So I'm like, well, you might as well just be my manager. And it kind of worked for a second, but then after a while, people didn't come in with the wholehearted intent of making the mission part. They just was doing it just so they could see what they could get out of, and then just fuck you and then do their own things. But then once I seen that snake shit that they was on, I had to cut the nigga loose. It's just like a motherfucker selling weed, right? And he putting you up on game, and so now you selling, he fronting you shit, you selling weed for this man, you bringing him his money back, but you getting your percentage. Instead, nigga be like, man, fuck that. Instead of saving my money and eventually blowing up into my own thing, I'm just gonna kill this nigga. Now I ain't got nothing but that little bullshit ass chump change that you know what I mean? Instead of just staying down, just stay down for the cause, and then when the shit get to a point where we can all get the shit cracking, then we can still split ways. But niggas didn't even stay down long enough to make nothing crack, because niggas just doing that fucking bad. Niggas is doing that fucking bad. A nigga get mad at you buy a burrito from a store. A nigga get, can I have a piece of that burrito? Nigga, you ain't got enough money to buy your own burrito. Then when they get mad at you when you don't want to give them a piece. But then, damn it, nigga, we grown ass men. These grown ass men out here. But then that made me look at myself. These are the type of niggas you hanging with? The GRAG stand for money. You mad because I'm gonna give you a piece of my burrito. You a bitch.
All right, so you talked about that first that first music you did when you was just a teenager, which you don't have anymore. But when did you get to the point where you actually completed a project where you was like, oh, I'm proud of this one.
Over the years I had a gang of different projects, right? But then it was all in development stages too, as far as.
So like, what would you say? You mentioned the one when you were 16. You did that.
Yeah, the biggest of the baddest.
Yeah, the biggest and the baddest.
And then I did one called the Underground Project, right? It was just some put the songs thrown together. And then there was another one called Dead on the Dance Floor. And then I just recently did one with Kareem. We called that C-Rag. And then we put out the one. But see, all those projects that I did before, I wasn't really feeling because I was still in my development stages as far as the sound. It wasn't until I just dropped this one now and the one prior to that I'm actually comfortable with what I'm putting out there. But not to say that people wasn't fucking with them, but now I feel comfortable. Now I'm like, okay, yeah, that was a good one.
But you started making a name for yourself years ago. Like,
Yeah.
Like about more than 10 years, you'd say?
Yeah. Because I've been doing this shit since I've been doing this shit since elementary school. Man.
Yeah, but in terms of putting out music online and putting out videos, when did that stage of your career start? Where you're putting it online, you got your MP3s, and we're gonna shoot a video.
Okay.
Like, what's your first video?
Damn, my first video was God damn. I think it was a song called "I'd Be Rich." I'd Be Rich, and a guy, this white guy at my job filmed that. I was a supervisor at the Los Angeles County Museum of Arts, and this white dude, I'm like, yeah, man, I rap. He's like, yeah, I film shit. So he just filmed my video as an experiment for his shit. So that was the first video I ever did. The second video I ever did, this from years ago, like maybe like 2000 or something like that. I just got put on the YouTube. I'm like, what is this, YouTube? Cause I was really on MySpace and shit like that. We would do videos where it'd just be the song playing with just pictures hitting the screen, like different pictures appearing and disappearing on the screen. And then when YouTube came, that's when we were like, I gotta start doing videos, man. And then after a while, networking with people, meeting people and putting in work, I ended up meeting with a lot of people that was doing that at the time. A guy, I don't know if you know Baba Zoom. Baba Zoom, he filmed one of my earliest videos too. Then my next door neighbor filmed one called Get Him. That was a good video too.
So when you did that first video, that was before YouTube, right? Because this was 2000.
It was before YouTube. Right when YouTube was first, that was the very first video I ever put on YouTube.
I'm talking about the I'd Be Rich one.
Yeah. Matter of fact, let me look that up. It might have the date on there and shit. Let me see what year it was. Let me look that shit up. I know it was right when YouTube was first, or right when I first got put on the YouTube. YouTube probably might have been around already, but I got first put on the YouTube.
Well, YouTube came out in like late 2005, and a lot of people were jumping on it in 2006.
Yeah, that was like 12 years ago. That was in, you don't even got the date, just say 12 years ago. So you just subtract 12 years from now, and then.
So that was the one that white guy recorded for you?
Yeah, yep.
And what did you think of it after it was finalized? What was your...
I was like, that wasn't a good video. That's just garbage.
Why not?
Thanks for watching StreetTV.net. If you're not subscribed, please hit that button below and click the bell to receive alerts and notifications. Feel free to comment below so you can give us your feedback, and be sure to watch the 2 related episodes to the right. If you want to support this platform or follow us on social media, visit the links in the description. And thanks for watching StreetTV.net.